Welcome back to the deep dive. You know that feeling when you're pulled in 1,000 directions, you're anxious about something you did yesterday, but also completely obsessed with tomorrow's plans?
Mm.
We often talk about destiny like it's something external,
Mm.
some unchangeable blueprint that just happens to us.
Right.
But what if that feeling of being pulled apart is actually a sign that you're just, well, looking at the wrong map?
I think that's a perfect way to put it. It's a really radical reframe of, our whole existence. Today, we're diving deep into sources that suggest your entire life, your actual destiny, isn't about chance. It's not about external events.
It's about what you love.
It's entirely determined by what you devote your love and therefore your attention to.
And these sources we've gathered, they define love as more than just a warm feeling, right?
Oh, much more. It's the foundational organizing force of the entire cosmos.
So our working thesis for this deep dive, the real compass here, is this idea. Where there is love, there is the way. Your deepest love becomes your compass.
And our mission is really to unpack that, to explore these two very different life paths that are created by where you direct that devotion.
So one path is devotion to the self, the fleeting fictional self your mind creates.
And the other is devotion to eternal truth, to what's actually real in the present moment. We need to figure out how the mind, the ego, and the simple reality of the now all fit together to define your destination.
Okay, so let's start with the big one. The central, really massive claim that's laid out in all this material.
Right. The claim is this. Love, and you can call it God, or the Word, or in some traditions, Shabs is the actual reason we exist.
Not just our reason, but the reason.
The reason is the energy that sustains the entire world, physical and spiritual. It's the only true everlasting power there is. And this is the key part. We are all just individual expressions of it.
Okay, wait. If the core of my being and the energy that's holding up the whole world is pure love, then why is it so hard to feel? Why aren't we all just walking around in a state of, conscious bliss? Why do we feel stress and conflict instead?
That is the essential question, isn't it? And the sources, they place the blame squarely on a kind of hijack.
Hey, hijacking.
The problem is our mind. Its original intended function was actually quite noble. It was meant to serve the soul, to be a kind of steward for our consciousness in this physical world.
But somewhere along the line, that stewardship went sideways.
It really did. The sources use this powerful analogy. They say we have spoiled the mind.
Spoiled it.
Yeah, like an overindulgent parent spoils a child by just giving it everything it demands. For countless lifetimes, we've let our attention follow every single fleeting thought, every desire the mind generates.
So, what does a spoiled mind actually look like in our day-to-day life?
It looks like being perpetually distracted. It means the part of you that's supposed to be in charge is completely out of control. It's swift, it's cunning, it's powerful.
I mean, just think about trying to focus on one thing.
Exactly. Think how quickly your attention gets pulled away. How thoughts just secrete themselves into your awareness before you even consciously invite them. It's that compulsion to check your phone when you think you felt it vibrate.
The ghost vibration.
The ghost vibration.
Right.
The mind is just desperately seeking constant distraction because it's learned that it runs the show.
And its main strategy for keeping control, for keeping us separated from that core energy of love, is time travel. It's never happy just being here.
Precisely. The mind is constantly reviewing and relitigating the past. You know, that argument you lost, that embarrassing thing you said 5 years ago.
Yes.
And at the same time, it's projecting fantasies and worries and these intricate plans about the future. That imaginary conversation you're going to have, the promotion you have to get, the disaster you must prevent.
And by doing that, by constantly jumping between past and future, it builds something.
It builds an independent entity. It creates the autonomous self, the source is called the ego. And this self is completely fictional. It's conjured up and sustained entirely by this mental activity.
And it's so proud, isn't it? I am self-directed. I'm unique. I'm self-sufficient.
But if you stop feeding it those thoughts about the past or the future, it just starves. It's an identity that's maintained only by constant mental noise.
It's the ultimate con. It's also fascinating that the word personality comes from the Greek persepion, which means mask.
A mask.
It's this temporary false identity we present to the world. And if you stop constantly thinking about that mask, its status, its needs, its validation, it starts to crumble. And that's when you see what's really underneath.
And that mask takes so much energy to maintain. It's always checking its reflection in the mirror of what other people think. Which brings us right to that fork in the road we mentioned.
The two loves, two destinies.
Exactly. Your whole destination depends on what you choose to love. the mask or the essence.
So let's talk about those two destinies. When we are devoted to the ego, to the mask, what does that path feel like on a daily basis? What's the language of that devotion?
It feels like striving and anxiety. Devotion to the ego is devotion to control, to status, to validation.
And the language is always about me.
It's always self-referential, yeah.
Yeah.
The Sufi mystic Sagiris Vahani said that anytime we hear I or you, it's usually the ego talking. It's that narrative machine just asserting itself. You know you're on the ego's path when your focus is on how you look in a meeting instead of what you can actually contribute.
And what's the internal cost of walking that path?
Burnout. Absolute burnout, because you're constantly running a marathon to sustain something that isn't even real. The great insight Sagiris Vahani offered was that forgetting yourself, just forgetting that self-referential identity for a moment, brings this huge, immediate joy to the soul.
That moment of release.
That's the destination. That's the freedom.
Okay, so if the ego's entire game is built on reviewing the past and planning the future, then the one thing that mask has to avoid at all costs is the present moment.
That's the critical piece of the whole puzzle. When your mind is just jammed full of memories and worries about what people think, it completely misses the freshness of what's actually happening right now.
It's like staring at a blueprint while the house is burning down around you.
A perfect analogy. We fail to recognize what some sources call the luminous simplicity of mind that is always present behind the veils of thought.
We're so busy rummaging through the storage locker of yesterday or sketching blueprints for tomorrow that we just miss the light that's right here.
And so the other path, the love for the essence, is simply devotion to the now. The sources are really clear on this. The now is the only time there is. Nothing ever happens in the past. Nothing happens in the future. All of reality, all experience, always happens right now.
But that can sound a little abstract. What's the practical value of being committed to the present?
The immediate practical value is that your problems shrink. They shrink for lack of food.
For lack of sustenance.
Exactly. Most of our anxiety, our guilt, our fear, they're just mental ghosts from the past or projections onto the future. They need your time-traveling mind to seem real. When you commit to being fully alive right now, your consciousness expands beyond the ego's little prison, and those mental constructs, they just dissolve.
So the present moment isn't just some psychological trick to feel less stressed. The sources are saying it is the truest spiritual guide. It's the ultimate compass.
Absolutely. The Jesuit priest Jean-Pierre de Caussade, he defined the present moment as the active expression of the divine's will. This is where devotion really becomes a compass.
Wow.
He said every moment we live through is like an ambassador that declares the will of God.
That is profound. So it means the highest, best, holiest thing that can happen to us is whatever is happening to us right now.
Exactly. It's what God arranges for us to experience at this very moment. And it requires acceptance, not passive resignation, but an active, almost childlike willingness to just experience reality as it is without speculating about how it should be.
So if you're devoted to the present, you're following the divine will, not the turbulent fictional will of the ego.
Yes, and that redefines what struggle is. When you stop fighting the reality of the present, whether it's traffic or a difficult conversation or just waiting in line, you immediately stop feeding the ego's need for control.
Okay, so if the goal is to switch our deepest love from the drama of the mask to the truth of the essence, how do we train the spoiled mind to follow a new compass? It sounds like it would take superhuman effort to subdue it.
Not superhuman effort, but consistent discipline. And this is where spiritual practices become, well, indispensable. The sources define meditation very simply. It's the main exercise in being here now. It's the training ground where you teach your attention to stay put rather than wandering through time.
And what's the actual mechanism, the practical technique for slowing down this runaway mind?
The practice of Simran is cited as the method. For anyone unfamiliar, Simran is just the repetition of sacred names or a mantra.
Like an anchor.
It's a perfect anchor, a constant point of return. By consciously repeating a word or phrase, you occupy the part of the mind that won't stop narrating and time traveling. You basically force it to slow down and focus.
And that repetition allows your attention to gather specifically at the eye center, which is described as the seat of consciousness in the body. So when that focus happens, what happens to the mind's grip?
The past and the future, they literally just evaporate in the stillness. They lose their power over you. All that energy that was scattered across anxieties and regrets gets gathered and focused inward.
And in that stillness, we finally connect with that primary force, that flow of pure love, what the sources call the celestial current.
That contact is the ultimate reward for redirecting your love. Listening to the Shab, the divine word, the inner sound that is following the path of his love. That is the ultimate internal compass. It's a frequency of reality that goes way beyond the mind.
And this return to the source is linked directly to freedom. I love this line from Kakani Sherwani. It is love that speaks to you, calling you beyond the limits of this created realm. That which frees you from your tiny self also is love.
That's the destination of the path right there. Freedom. Freedom not just from, external things, but from the most restrictive person you ever imagined yourself to be, that narrow, needy ego.
Freedom from desires, from the constant fear that something's about to go wrong, from pain and attachments. And maybe most importantly, freedom from that incessant, uninvited tyrant in your head that just churns out thoughts all day long.
It is the ultimate release of the soul, that pure and shining self that's been enslaved by the mind for lifetimes. And in that release, you discover your ultimate identity, that the soul is a particle of the Lord, who is pure love.
The sources conclude with this beautiful thought that when the soul is finally free to speak without the mind interfering, it never begs to say anything.
Except the words of love.
Hmm.
You see how this just changes everything about how you plan your life. Destiny stops being about fate or coincidence.
It becomes a choice.
It's the cumulative direction of what you choose to love, either the striving and anxiety of the fictional self, or the luminous, immediate truth you find in the stillness of the present moment.
So by disciplining the mind, by consistently returning to the now, we let go of the ego's demands. And when that happens, your true essence, that pure foundational love, it just emerges naturally. It becomes your most reliable compass.
And that has huge implications for every choice you make. From your career to how you talk to your partner, you start asking, am I choosing the path that feeds the mask, or the path that nurtures the essence?
So as you go through the rest of your day, we want to leave you with one simple, powerful question pulled right from our sources. Just check the direction of your internal compass right now in this quiet moment. What do I love most? The comfort of my own past regrets and future anxieties, or the luminous simplicity of the present moment? And what life path is that devotion creating right now?